the first lecturer for today.
Hi everybody, my name is Richard McMunn from the numerical reasoning testing website howtobecome.com. That's me there on the bottom right hand corner with no hair. And in this video, I'm going to give you some brilliant numerical reasoning test tips, tricks and sample questions for you to try. Now, I would very much like you to take notes, or at the very least pay attention, watch the video from beginning to end, as I promise you all of the following tips are going to be of a massive help to you. If you're required to undertake any kind of numerical reasoning test, this video is going to help you. So to start off with, I'm going to give you 7 fantastic numerical reasoning test tips, and then we're going to move on to some questions. Each and every one of them is of same importance. Okay, tip number 1. Before you go to the test, try and find out how many questions you're required to undertake under what time. So for example, let's say you're given 20 minutes during your numerical reasoning test to tackle 30 questions. Do a very quick calculation to work out on average how long you have per question. Now what happens is these numerical reasoning tests are required to be performed under time conditions, and the timing is relatively tight. So let's say you work out that you've got 20 or 30 seconds to answer each question, and you're taking a minute or two on each one, then you're going to quickly run out of time. But if you have a general idea of how long on average you can take per question, this will give you some confidence in passing the test. So if you're given 20 minutes to tackle 30 questions, as an example, there are 60 seconds in every minute. So do 60 multiplied by 20, which will give you 1200, divided by 30 as 30 questions, and that will give you 40 seconds on average per question. So that means you've got 40 seconds per question to work it out. If you feel that you're going over time, move on to the next one, but make sure you leave a gap on the answer sheet. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Make sure you do a quick calculation to work out how long you have per question. And this is important also in the build up to your numerical reasoning test, because when you're practicing for the particular test, then you can spend no longer than 40 seconds per question. Okay, so give yourself 40 seconds per question in the build up so you know how long the time is. And have your timer next to you when you're practicing to work out and feel how long 40 seconds is. Tip number 2, follow this format. This is really important. Follow this format when answering numerical reasoning test questions that are based on information provided. And what I mean by that is when you have numerical tests with graphs or charts. Okay, follow this format. These 3 important steps. Number 1, read the title of the information presented. Okay, don't look and absorb the information presented. But let's say, for example, you get a question like this and you have a chart there. It's got marks out of 40, subject 30 and above. Don't read that information because it's confusing. And this is where most people go wrong. So the first part is to read the title of the information presented. And the title there is based on 100 students, marks in English, maths and science examinations. So I automatically, straight away, have a basic idea of the kind of questions I'm going to get asked. I'm not looking at that chart at all because it will confuse me. I don't need to know it at this stage. So that's the first part. The second part, number 2, now read the question. Again, you're not looking at the chart. You've only read the title of the information presented. And the next bit is to read the question. So the question here is question 1. What is the percentage of students who achieved marks of 20 or above in their English exam? Now, that question tells us that we only need to extract or dissect 2 parts of that chart. We don't need to worry about the rest of it at this particular point. So the final bit, number 3, is dissect only the information needed to find the answer. So what is the percentage of students who achieve marks in 20 or above in their English exam? So I'm just going to look at English, and then I'm going to look at in marks of 20 or above, and the correct answer is 52%. Okay, now a lot of people, when tackling numerical reasoning tests, will spend time looking at the chart, looking at the graph. You don't need to. Okay, so just to recap, the first part is to read the title of the information presented. The second part is to read the question, and the third part is to dissect the information needed only to reach your answer. Follow that and you will save bags of time during your numerical reasoning test. Okay, number 3, a quick one here. If you're running out of time during the test, do not guess. Now, lots and lots of different types of not just numerical reasoning tests, but psychometric tests, mechanical comprehension, abstract reasoning, etc., are designed to make it really, really difficult for you to finish. A lot of assessors will mark you not just on your speed, but also your accuracy. Okay, so, and a lot of them as well, this is really important. Believe it or not, some employers will deduct marks for incorrect answers. So if you're struggling to finish the test, and let's say you've got a minute left and you've still got, say, 6 questions to answer, don't wild guess, because you can lose marks. It's better to get the ones that you have done correct than to just ruin it in the last few questions because you're guessing. Because a lot of these kind of numerical reasoning tests will be obviously under time conditions, but they'll give you multiple choice options in the answers. And you might think to yourself, well, I've got a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right. Don't go down that route. Okay, unless you know for sure you're not going to lose marks for incorrect answers. Number 4, this is a great tip. You're going to really like this one. Okay, learn this percentage calculation trick. It will save you, again, loads of time. Now, when you're undergoing numerical reasoning tests, there is a big chance that you will have to carry out some form of percentage calculations. Now, let's have a look at a way to calculate percentages really fast. Let's say you're required to calculate 30% of 400. Now, most people will go through 30 divided by 100 multiplied by 400, but there's a really quick way to do it, even without a calculator. So what you do is you cancel out the zeros. So there's 1 0 on the 30%, so you cancel out 1 more on the right-hand side. And then all you do is do 3 multiplied by 40, which if you know your times table, then you can do it really quick. 3 multiplied by 4 is 12, add the 0 on the end, it's 120. If we do another one quickly, 70% of 600, all I do is cancel out the 2 zeros. I know 7 times 6 is 42 because I know my times table, therefore the answer is 420. Now, of course, you're going to say to me, yeah, but Richard, what about percentage calculations that are not multiples of 10? Well, it is just as simple, okay? And learn this one as well. Let's say we have a question or we have to work out 30% of 81. So what you would do, therefore, is cancel out the 0, but you would then move the decimal place 1 point to the left. So even though it doesn't show it, we know that the decimal place would be 81.0. So we move the decimal place from there to 1 point left. So it is then 3 multiplied by 8.1. And you can do that in your head. It's 24.3. So if I look at 30% of 8.1, I do that in my head, cancel out the 0, move the decimal place 1 point to the left, and I know the answer is 24.3. Let's do another one. 90% of 97. So we cancel out the 0. We then move the decimal place 1 point to the left. So it goes there. And the calculation is just 9 multiplied by 9.7, and the answer is 87.3. And that is a great way. Practice these, okay? Just calculate, write out a few calculation percentage questions yourself and then work them out using this process. And if you need to watch this video again, please feel free to do so. By the way, at some point during this video, I'm going to give you some free percentage calculations and other numerical calculations that you can go on, access on my website and try them out for free under timed conditions. Okay, tip number 5, because I've been talking about using the times table, please make sure you know it. Many of you will do, but you should be able to calculate. If I say to you, what's 8 times 9? You should quickly be able to go 72. What's 3 multiplied by 9? 27. You should know these off by heart really quickly. And the way to do it, if you're not too sure about your entire times table, then use a blank sheet like this. And again, I'll give you a copy of this in my website area very shortly, so you can just print this off and you can start practicing your times table. If you're going to pass your numerical reasoning test, knowing your times table in your head off by heart is really important. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6, let's say you skip a question. Leave a space on the marking sheet. Okay, really important. The majority of psychometric test questions and numerical test questions will require you to do them online. But again, if you skip a question, make sure you leave a space on the marking sheet, because if you've got time later on, you can come back. But if you don't leave a space, then all of the preceding questions or answers are going to be wrong. Number 7, calculators. Now, if you are required to use a calculator, make sure you know how to use one. Most people think they know how to use one, but they don't. But make sure you know how to use a calculator. And these are the things that you're going to look out for on the basic calculator functions. Because if you look at a calculator, the majority have all of this: MC, M plus, M minus, MR, AC. And if you're honest with yourself, do you know what these mean? These are the basic functions that you should learn. Very, very simple, but confusing to a lot of people. For example, AC is all clear, so you clear absolutely everything on it. For example, CE is clear entry, so you clear the previous entry, but the rest of them prior to that will still be live. X2, which is squared. And also, don't forget the percentage button. If you're required to do percentages, and you have the option to use a calculator, make sure you know how to use it. Really, really important. And practice using a calculator before you go to the numerical reasoning test. Now, if you contact the test centre or the employer, ask the question, are we going to be allowed to use calculators, yes or no? And if they say yes, what kind of calculator are you required to use, so you can practice with one? So practice is really important for you getting the highest scores possible in your numerical reasoning test. And what I want to do is I'm going to give you 7 sample questions. I want you to work through these now without the use of a calculator, please. Okay, so do them. And I want you, please, to put your answers to each question in the comment section below. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them on the screen. I'm going to give you 7 numerical reasoning test questions. You've got 12 seconds to answer each one that follows. So like I say, don't use a calculator. You've got 12 seconds. I'll put a timer on each page to show you how long you've got left. So work quickly, treat it as a proper test, and then I'm going to give you some more sample numerical reasoning test questions for you to try in your own time. Question number 1. What is 9/11 of 88? And there's a timer going down on the left. 9/11 of 88. You've got A, B, C, D, or E as your options. Okay, don't forget to put your answer in the comment section below. Question number 2. Calculate 4.99 plus 19.09. Choose from A, B, C, D, or E. There's the timer going down. Moving on to numerical reasoning test number 3. Calculate 6.47 minus 3.29. A, B, C, D, or E. Moving on to question number 4. If you count from 1 to 100, how many numbers containing the number 4 will you pass on the way? A, B, C, D, or E. So how many number 4s will you pass along the way? Question number 5. What is 48% of 900? A, B, C, D, or E. Question number 6. What is 1,888 divided by 4? A, B, C, D, or E. Question number 7. On a school trip, at least one teacher is needed for every 8 students. Work out the minimum number of teachers needed for 138 students, A, B, C, or D. Okay, well done, guys. Don't forget to put your answer to each question in the comment section below, and I'll mark them for you. Now, to get more numerical reasoning test questions, simply click the link below this video to get more free practice tests. You can go through to my website, get loads of free practice test questions on numerical reasoning.
Alrighty, guys. This is the end of first lecture talks. He firstly gives you the tips for studying and the tips of making you a success pass and to let you guys pass exam. So we have 10 minutes more for ending the first session. As I told you that we have two sessions. First session and second session will be on the same link. And we done for first lecture. Let's move on for the second lecture. And in 10 minutes, we will just take our retro break for 2 minutes. Then we will continue for the next again.
An aptitude test is a pre-employment assessment quiz which is used to determine how well candidate is prepared and how well candidate will succeed on the job. Aptitude test is an umbrella for a variety of different tests. There are various different aptitude tests employers use based on the job candidate might be applying for. Logical reasoning test, math reasoning test, numerical reasoning, diagramming reasoning, situational judgment, verbal reasoning, and abstract reasoning test is just another full list of examples of a typical aptitude test. If you're looking for a specific test, please make sure to find the relevant video on my channel to get ready and pass the test. Before we move forward, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Vadim Michalenko, and I have MBA and Master's degree in Computer Science. I have more than 20 years of experience in information technology as a consultant and 15 years of experience as professional educator. I founded HowToAnalyzeData.net website to help people pass the interview and assessment test and get hired for their dream jobs. In this video, I will show you most typical examples from a different aptitude tests, summarizing questions from logical reasoning test, math reasoning test, numerical reasoning test, situational judgment test, and abstract reasoning tests. I will also share with you answers, tips, tricks, and hacks on how to best prepare and pass the test. These questions are in no particular order, so make sure to watch the entire video to test your knowledge and get ready for the test. In this video, you will have everything you need to get ready and pass the test. Knowing answers to these questions helped a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure it will help you as well. Take a moment and click the subscribe button at the bottom of the screen, and make sure to like, share, comment, and ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer every question I receive. And now, let's go ahead and get started. And now, let's look at the question which confused tons of people during the test. How many squares are in this picture? And you have choices of 16, 29, 30, and 32. Which one do you think is right? The confusion part of this question comes with the fact that squares are not only the small squares that's shown in the picture. So if you do only small squares, the answer would be 16. But you can have this area as a square, you can have this area as a square, and large area is also a square. So once you calculate all of those, you will get to the correct answer. And the correct answer is 30, because there are 16 small squares, 9 squares which would be created using 4 small squares, 4 squares which can be created using 9 small squares, and 1 big square. So that when we come out with the answer 30. So you kind of have to know how to calculate it a little bit, but this question we see a lot as part of numerical reasoning tests and psychometric tests. So I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared. Let's look at another tricky question. Which one of the 4 are the least like the other 3? And then we need to choose the correct answer. Tiger, cow, rabbit, or deer. Which one do you think is right? The tricky part of this question is that all of these animals are mammals, but there are three animals, cow, rabbit, and deer, that eat grass, and tiger is a predator. So the correct answer is A, which is tiger. So hopefully you've got this one right. It's a tricky one, and it tests your knowledge of exclusion, meaning that you need to read the test question correctly, and then you need to find out the correct choice. Hopefully you've got this one right. I'd like to ask you to participate in our daily Excel assessment test challenge. I post new question every day in the community tab of this channel and give you an opportunity to answer this and try it. And I post the answer in the comments next day. So please make sure to check it out and test your knowledge. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. So here's the question, which is frequently used as part of numerical reasoning and logical reasoning tests. Find the next number of the below sequence. And you have series of numbers, 30, 29, 27, 24, 20, 15, and you have choices, 4 different choices, 10, 9, 11, and 8. Which one do you think is right? And how would you even approach answering something like this? The key to answer something like this, in these types of questions in general, is to detect the pattern. So you see the pattern here is you increase the number every time you go from one number to the next. 30 is 1 more than 29, and 27 is 2 more than 29. 24 is 3 more than 27, 20 is 4 more than 24, and 15 is 5 more than 20. So the next difference would be 6, and 15 minus 6 would be 9. Let's recap. So next number in the sequence is less than the current number. 29 is less than 30, 27 is 2 less than 29, and 24 is 3 less than 27. And you can continue the sequence once you detect it. And final number must be 6 less than 15, which is 9. So the correct answer is B, which is 9. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question. Find the missing value using the pattern. You see the 3 by 3 box, and one of the values in this box is missing. So what is the pattern? And there are 4 choices. We have A, B, C, and D, right? And obviously you would have to find the pattern and calculate the value. So what do you guys think is the right answer here? Before I reveal the right answer, let me try to discuss with you the pattern. So you see 1, 2, and 3, right? But then this one, 2, 4, and 6. So it's not sequential, so it's not like you go 1 plus 1 equals 2 plus 1 equals 3. There is a different type of pattern here. And the right pattern here is that 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? And then 2 plus 4 equals 6. And once you know the pattern, you can easily calculate that 3 plus 6 equals 9. So the right answer here is choice C. Let's validate. And you're absolutely right. The right choice is choice C, and this is exactly the logic that I just presented to you. Hopefully you've got this one right. A lot of you are interested and asking me, how can I help others? One of the ways you can help other people is by sharing the latest questions that you see on Excel interview and assessment test, and how you answered them. Please share the questions you recently encountered in the comments section of this video. If you know the answers, please share them as well. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the question, which is frequently used as part of verbal reasoning, aptitude test, and psychometric tests. If you rearrange the letters CIF, AIP, C, you would have the name of and there are 4 choices: country, city, ocean, and river. So the tricky part of this question is that these are not the final answers. You can't rearrange this set of letters to get to the country. You can't rearrange it to get to the ocean letter or to any one of these letters. It is country name that would be a result of this rearrangement, or ocean name that would be, or city name or river name. So let's see if you can get this one correctly. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to prepare yourself for these types of questions. And the correct answer here is Pacific. So the answer is Pacific Ocean, right? But there's no way for you to know this. You probably heard the term of Pacific Ocean, but the best practice to answer these types of questions would be to go and start with the smallest one, and smallest one would be ocean. There are only very few oceans, and you're probably much better off starting and going and counting through all these oceans that are available. And one of those oceans would be Pacific Ocean. Because if you start to go with city, river, and country, there are too many countries, too many cities, and too many rivers. And the expectation is that you would not know all of this and you can't answer. So that's the best way to come to these questions. Identify what is the smallest number of items that's on the list and then loop through these items to identify the right one. So going back, is Pacific Ocean is the answer. And hopefully you will have the tips and tricks to get these types of questions correctly. Now let's look at the question where you tested not just how well you know English, but also how well can you operate with the letters and take guesses based on the questions asked. A lot of times these types of questions used in the verbal reasoning tests and in a lot of other tests as well. For example, psychometric tests or logic reasoning tests. These types of questions we see all the time. So the question, which of the following can be arranged to a 5-letter English word? And there are 4 choices with 5 letters of the words, and you kind of would need to look at each choice and you would need to take a guess which one would be the one which leads to a specific English word. And obviously nobody gives you the English word, so you would have to take a guess on the word and combine these letters so they will be represented by the specific English word. So which one do you think is the right choice? Couple suggestions here. You see choice A has inside of these letters English word goat. So typically it's the wrong choice because typically you wouldn't be able to easily rearrange this word into something else. Typically, and again it's only typically, but you would want to start with the letter somewhere in the middle. And the right choice here is choice B, and it's the word shape. That's really the word, that the end result of it. You don't have a way of knowing.
Hello guys, the meeting is gonna be ended right now, so please directly join the same link. So this meeting is going to be ended right now. So after, try to connect again to the same link, then we will be directly allow you to continue with this class. Just we will continue from here. Don't worry. Thank you so much.
much better off starting and going and counting through all these oceans that are available. And one of those oceans would be Pacific Ocean. Because if you start to go with city, river, and country, there are too many countries, too many cities, and too many rivers, and the expectation is that you would not know all of this, and you can't answer. So that's the best way to come to these questions. Identify what is the smallest number of items that's on the list, and then loop through these items to identify the right one. So going back, is Pacific Ocean is the answer. And hopefully you will have the tips and tricks to get these types of questions correctly. Now let's look at the question where you tested not just how well you know English, but also how well can you operate with the letters and take guesses based on the questions asked. A lot of times these types of questions used in the verbal reasoning tests and in a lot of other tests as well. For example, psychometric tests or logic reasoning tests. These types of questions we see all the time. So the question, which of the following can be arranged to a 5-letter English word? And there are 4 choices with 5 letters of the words, and you kind of would need to look at each choice and you would need to take a guess which one would be the one which leads to a specific English word. And obviously nobody gives you the English word, so you would have to take a guess on the word and combine these letters so they will be represented by the specific English word. So which one do you think is the right choice? Couple suggestions here. You see choice A has inside of these letters English word goat. So typically it's the wrong choice because typically you wouldn't be able to easily rearrange this word into something else. Typically, and again it's only typically, but you would want to start with the letter somewhere in the middle. And the right choice here is choice B, and it's the word shape. That's really the word, that the end result of it. You don't have a way of knowing, right, because you don't know what the end word is. So you would have to look realistically at all the different choices and see if you can combine them. But I would start with the middle letter because typically they try to trick you, and first letter is typically not the one that starts this new word. So find more exercises like this. This one was tricky. This one was difficult. Very few people guess it right. But it takes practice to get these types of questions correctly. So make sure Google or find on the internet these types of verbal reasoning questions and see if you can get better at this. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up to tell us that you need more content like this. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of logical reasoning, which is very frequently used as part of psychometric tests and aptitude tests. Which of the 4 is least like the other 3? And you have 4 choices: car, bus, bicycle, and van. Multiple different options here. You can arrange all these items by size, by weight, or maybe by something else. Do you think you know the answer? And as you might have figured out, the correct answer is C, which is bicycle, because all of these 4 choices are vehicles, but 3 of them need fuel. So answer is the bicycle, which doesn't need fuel, which is not like all of the others. Hopefully you got this one right. So here is the tricky question, which is frequently used as part of logical reasoning tests and numerical reasoning tests. The day after tomorrow is 4 days before Monday. What day is it today? And you have 4 choices: Sunday, Monday, Friday, and Saturday. And the reason I'm laughing is because this tells me that you always should come to those types of tests after a very good night's sleep and try to schedule them in the morning. That's the best advice I can give you. Because sometimes if you come to this type of test tired, you wouldn't even understand what they're asking you to do. So, do you have an idea how to answer this? Let's take a look at the answer. Again, most of the time you have to use reverse method to get to the right answer. And the reverse method tells us that 4 days before Monday is Thursday, and day before Thursday is Tuesday. If tomorrow is Tuesday, today is Monday. So the correct answer is B, Monday. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at another pattern type question. Which number should come next in the pattern? And then you have pattern of numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. So let's first determine what's the pattern here. Obviously there are 4 choices, but the result here is calculated based on the pattern that we would need to determine. Which one do you guys think is the right one here? Well, let's look. So we have 1, 1, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2, then 1 plus 2 equals 3, then we have 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then you can kind of keep going. So to calculate the next number, it's basically the sum of the previous 2 numbers. So 8 plus 13 is 21. So the right choice here is choice B, which is 21. And this is the explanation, that the pattern here is really the sum of previous 2 numbers. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the reasoning question where you need to complete the sentence. Read below sentence and give the correct answer. Book is to reading as fork is to, and then you need to pick one of the 4 choices. Painting, writing, eating, and lifting. So what do you think is the right choice? I think it's pretty obvious here. But let's look at the right answer. So the correct answer is obviously eating, right? Because book is to reading. This is an activity associated with reading, as fork is to eating. You use fork during the meal consumption. So the correct choice is C. And that's because forks are used during dining and meal consumption. Hopefully you've got this one right. Why you might consider subscribing to this channel. This is one of the fastest way to learn and get prepared for Excel assessment test. Skills you learn are helpful today and in the future. You get answers to your questions. You have opportunity to help other people. And you have experienced professionals who already subscribe to this channel and ready to help you with any answers that you need. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the question, which tests your knowledge of numerical reasoning. A girl starts to run at the speed of 5 miles per hour. After 1 hour, a boy starts to run at 10 mile per hour speed from the same location and going in the same direction. How long will it take for the boy to catch up with the girl? And we have 4 choices here. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1.5 hours. What do you think is the right choice? The correct answer here is A, 1 hour. And here's the reasoning. Boy has twice of the girl's speed. And for boy, it will only take half the time to run the same distance compared to the girl. After an hour, girl already ran for 5 miles, and she will run another 5 miles in the next hour. Boy, on the other hand, will run 10 miles an hour. Girl will run 10 miles in 2 hours, and for the boy, it will take only 1 hour to run 10 miles. So boy will reach the girl in 1 hour. Hopefully you've got this one right. Here's another tricky question which can confuse you easily during the test. Bob is 6 years old, and his sister is a half of his age. When Bob is 30, what would be the age of his sister? And there are 4 choices: 20, 15, 25, and 27. Which one do you think is right? And obviously, as you might have figured out, the correct answer is D, 27. Bob's sister is 3 when Bob is 6, and Bob becomes 30 after 24 years. And that's why his sister must be 27 years old. Another way to look at it, there is a 3-year difference. When Bob is 30, his sister would be 30 minus 3, which would be 27. Hopefully you've got this one right. Here's the question which tests your knowledge of working with negative numbers. Calculate minus 100 plus 45. Here, keep in mind that minus 100 is very tricky. Some people just don't see this minus sign right before the 100. And there are 4 choices: minus 145, 145, minus 55, and then 55. So what do you think is the right answer? And obviously the correct answer is C, which is minus 55. And the way we calculate this equation is we can move minus 100 after 45. So the new equation might look like this: 45 minus 100, which would be exactly minus 55. Hopefully you've got this one correctly as well. A lot of people ask, how can I help on this channel? One of the best ways to help is to help other people answer the questions that they're getting. If you know the answer to the question that you see in comments, please post the answer in the comment section of this video. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. So let's look at another tricky question. What number is the best match? And we have 8 to 4 would be 10 to question mark. So what do you think is the right one here? Let's look at the answer. The best answer here is 4 is the half of 8. So the question mark would be half of 10. And in that case, half of 10 is 5. So that's the number you should choose. Now, the tricky part of this question, some people may mistakenly select 20, which would be double of 10. So make sure you recognize this and don't make this mistake. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question, which tests your knowledge of working with shapes, patterns, and numbers. Select an arrow which logically belongs in the rectangle with the question mark. Here on the screen, you see 3 by 3 box. Each row of the box and each column of the box has arrows. One arrow is missing. Which arrow do you think is missing? The key here is to identify the pattern. Each row and each column contains unique arrows. In the first row, we have arrow pointing to the right, upper right, and then to the upper left. Then upper left, right, and upper right. So here we have upper right, and then we have arrow pointing to the upper left, and what's missing is the arrow pointing to the right. And that would be the right answer. And the arrow pointing to the right would be choice A. And this is the explanation. So each row has 3 arrows. All 3 arrows are directed to 3 directions, and they are unique. According to the pattern, correct answer is A, because arrow which is directed to the right is missing in the 3rd row. Hopefully you've got this one right. So can you tell us how many questions did you answer correctly? Please post in the comments of this video to share with others. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the very complex question which you see a lot during logical reasoning tests, psychometric tests, and the numerical reasoning tests. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And what we have here, we have 3 by 3 matrix with 8 shapes populated, and 1 shape is missing. There are 4 choices as usual, but in order for you to calculate the right shape, you need to determine the pattern. And in fact, there are 2 patterns here on this screen. Can you figure it out? Do you know what the right answer is? As I mentioned, there are 2 patterns here. One is there is a pattern for the shape. Which shape would you choose? And second pattern is the pattern for the lines. And where is the right location for the line itself? Now let's go through the detection of the shape pattern first. So the shape pattern is triangle, square, and then the circle, right? So triangle, square, and then next one would be the circle. So we have a circle, that's the right value here, but all of this are the circles. So this was helpful, but not by much. But it just tells us that we are detecting the first pattern. And here, if you want to confirm, we have square, circle, and then triangle. Now, the most important part here is to determine on which side of the shape the lines should be located. And what we have here, we have 4 locations, as you can see in the answer. 1 location on the top, right, left, and bottom. So how would you know where's the right location for the circle shape? So let's look closely here and let's detect the pattern here for the line location. The line location starts with the bottom, right, and then top. So you see it's going counterclockwise. So if you imagine the clock with the clockwise rotation, then this would be counterclockwise. And let's see if we are correct and we have a pattern here. So we have bottom, right, top. Then we have left, bottom, so that still matches the counterclockwise pattern. And then we have left, bottom, right. So I think the missing shape here would be the one before the left, which would be on the top. So the right answer in this case would be A, because here we have a circle which matches the circle's pattern, and then we have lines located at the top. Let's verify to confirm that. And as you can see, the correct answer is A. So let's recap. There are 2 patterns you need to detect in this assignment. Patterns for the shapes and pattern for the line location. Shapes are displayed in the particular order. Triangle, square, circle, that's really the pattern for the shapes. And pattern for lines are in a counterclockwise order. So correct answer is A. Hopefully you've got this one right. You will see a lot of these types of questions in the assessment test. Let's look at the question, which is frequently used as part of numeric reasoning test and aptitude test. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And you're presented with the 3x3 box, which contains multiple shapes, and one shape is missing in one of the boxes. There are 4 choices. Can you detect which one is the correct one? Before I jump to the final answer, let me teach you how to detect patterns in these types of questions. There are 3 different patterns that we can see here. First pattern is pattern in the shapes. We have circle and triangle in the first row. We have square and triangle in the second row. And then we have square and circle in the third row. The second pattern here is the pattern of one shape inside of the other. So what you see here is that every row contains one shape inside of the other. In the first row, it's a triangle inside of the circle. In the second row, it's the triangle inside of the square. And the third one is missing this pattern, which tells us that it should be the pattern of one shape inside of the other. Which is not a big help because all of the 4 choices here do contain the shapes, one shape inside of the other. But let's skip that comment and let's just jump to the third pattern. And the third pattern is the dot in the middle of the shape. So you see that every row contains at least one shape where dot is inside of the shapes that are one inside of the other. So knowing this information, we have choices A and D because we narrowed it down and recognized that we have to have a dot inside of the shape. Now, which one do you think is right? Knowing the first pattern, we can exclude choice A because in the third row we have combination of squares and circles. So the correct choice is D because it matches all 3 patterns. We have circle inside of the square and then we have dot in the middle. So the correct answer is D. Hopefully you've got this one right. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you know someone who is getting ready for interview or Excel assessment test, please share this video with them. This is going to help them pass and get their dream job. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. And now let's look at the question, which is frequently used as part of numerical reasoning tests. What is the number that is 1/2 of 1/4 of 1/10 of 800? And there are 4 choices: 20, 12, 5, and 10. How would you answer something like this? Let's go ahead and take a look. To answer this question, you need to do operations in reverse. So 1/10 of 800 is 80, and then 1/4 of 80 is 20, and 1/2 of 20 is 10. So the correct answer is D, 10. And let's recap. This is the explanation. To get to this answer, you need to go in reverse. 1/10 of 800 is 80, 1/4 of 80 is 20, and 1/2 of 20 is 10. So the correct answer is D. Hopefully you've got this one right. Thanks for watching. Hope you have learned something and had fun at the same time. Please make sure to check out my other relevant videos. I know they help.
Alright, guys, for continuing listening and noting some things from this second lecture. So we are going to the last lecturer, who's from Madimizi, and he is again taking a part of mathematics as well. Just stay tuning and tell your friend to join again. Just stay here. We are going to the third lecturer for today. Thank you.
Welcome to the second tutorial of IND SAT, a free online practice class which is conducted by admins tied up with Pragatii classes. So today we'll be dealing some of the aptitude problems based on quant. So let's start it with percentages and average numericals. Our aim would be, without using calculator or paper pen, let us try to solve and get the solution for each of these questions. So in this question number 1, what it has been said, as you can, first you need to read the question very carefully, first and foremost. While renovating his bedroom, Raj increased the length and breadth of his bedroom by 40%. what will be the new area of the room if it's original? First and foremost, if you see 144 inches, the answers options are in feet. So 144 means 12 feet. How? Because 144 is nothing but 12 into 12. We know 1 feet is equals to 12 inches. Now you need to know, as the length and the breadth of bedroom has been increased. Increased means it should be greater than 12. It should be greater than 12. So 12 means option A, option C is eliminated. We are left with B and D. Now 40%. If I say 100% also, 12 100% would be 24. So less than 24, the option is only left with B. This is the way how we will be approaching without even solving the question, but just by understanding the questions carefully. If you need to solve it properly, you could have written 12 feet plus 40% of 12 feet. That would be 12 plus 40 by 100 of 12. That would be a 16.8 feet. You can say 4.8 plus 12 is 16.8. So let us try similarly next question. In the next question, what you have given is Soha bought a shirt for $28 after a discount of 30%. That means it's the price which we should have should be greater than 28. Why? Because 30% discount is given. Now what would be the case then? It would be something, let the cost price we need to original price we need to assume it to be X. So you have given a discount of 30%. That means X minus 30% of X is nothing but 0.7x, that is equals to 28. So 0.7. If you divide 28 by 7, the result should be multiple of 4, and it is 28 is actually division by 7. That means 4. So option is 40. How? At 28.0.7, you can easily read 280 by 7. 740 is at 280. So option is C. Let us move to the third question. In the third problem, let us see what the question has asked. Amit appeared for 15 interviews in a month. What is the ratio between the number of jobs he was not offered and the number of jobs for which we interviewed if he received a total number of 6 job offers? You need to again read the question very carefully. The question is nothing based on the probability. The question is asked, what is the ratio between the number of jobs he was not offered and the number of jobs for which he was interviewed. So total interview has given 15. Job offer is 6. So the job which he has not offered was 15 minus 6, 9. So answer would be 9 by 15. So 9 by 15, the ratio would be, both are multiple of 3. So answer would be 3 by 5. So option would be C. If you need to solve 15 minus 6 upon 15, that is 9 by 15, 3 by 5. This is how we do normal the calculation in our mind. So moving on to the next question. In the next question, it has been asked or said, just again you need to read the question very carefully before applying or solving this. Margaret runs a nursing program where the participants are given a choice to work with infants, elderly or privately participates at. When given the options, 25% of the class decided to work with infants. That is, infants you need to understand is 25%, 60% with elderly and 10% to active participation, while the rest remain undecided. So what fraction of the class wanted to work with elderly? As you can see, elderly is 60%, that is 60 by 100. 60 by 100 is nothing but 6 by 10, that is 3 by 5. So the question was so much lengthy, but the solution is just hidden over here, that is 60 by 100. So if you solve 3 by 5. So this kind of problem is expected, and you need to read the question very carefully and you need to read very fast, as you have only 1 minute to attempt for one problem. Moving on to next question. It has been asked, at the surgical unit in a hospital, 35% of the staff members are not available to work during Christmas holidays. So imagine if you have 100, that means you need to categorize these two things in your mind, that 35 and 65. 35 are the number of people who are not available, while 65 are the number of people who are available. Of the remaining staffs, remember, that means we are talking about 65, only 20% are certified to work. That means in this 65, again only 20% you are certified to work, the remaining 80% are not certified to work. What percentage of the total staff is at the surgical unit is both certified and available? So you need to take what? 20% of 65. 20% of 65 is nothing but 20 into 65. If you do, it is 130 into 10, 1300. 1300 by 100 is, as you need to give in percentage, so 1300 by 100 is nothing but 13%. So answer is B. It is very easy to solve, just you need to understand and have the concept or weak point in your mind. Moving on to the next question. The question is given something like this. The current dosage of a heart patient's medication is 340 mg. After a thorough checkup, the doctor recommend a 30% decrease in the dosage. Thus, what is that? That means it should be less than 340. Less than 340, if you see the option, D is eliminated, only 30%. So what you need to do is you need to write 0.7 into 340. Here you can use the concept of digitalization. As you can see, sum of 340 is nothing but 7, and this is 7, 7 7 is 49. If you add, the value is 13. 13 means you can say 4. So you can see the option if you get any digit of sum to be 4. This is 7, this is 9, 11, 13. So 13 means 4. So answer would be B. No need to even solve this kind of problem, but just by analyzing the concept of digital sum, you can say the answer is B. Moving on to the next question, question number 8. As you can see here, out of the 100 patients who participated in a study about bulimia conducted on 100 patients, 70% of women and 10% of the men revealed they were overweight. How many male patients were not overweight? So you need to keep in mind the factor of male patient were not overweight. So what you can do is say, if 10% are overweight, that means 90% of remaining men are not overweight. So 90% is the digital sum is 9. If you see the option with sum 9, you will see the answer as 27. So this is the way how you can apply the concept of digital sum in order to solve this problem. Moving on to the next problem. In question number 9, if you see the question, Selena's gross annual salary as the content editor of magazine is rupees 40,000. She contributed 10% of her salary before she pays taxes. That means 40,000, if you reduce 10%, that means 4,000 it has been gone. So the net salary she has is 36,000 now. So in 36,000, 25% is being consumed as the taxes. So now you need to think 36,000 is her net salary. In this 25% is been cut off for her taxes. So 36,000, if you see the 10% would be 3,600, so 20% would be 7,200, and you need to add 1,800 for more 5. So that means 9,000. 9,000 the taxes she is paying. So if you subtract 9,000 from this 36,000, 9,000, you will be left with 27,000. So 27,000, answer should be again less than 27,000. Reason, 30 rupees per month she pays. So in a year there are 12 months, so you need to still subtract 360. If you subtract 360, the option suffix end with 4 and with 0. If you see the options, no need to solve entirely, the option is clear, answer would be C. So this is the concept which you need to again see, that 40,000, 10% is 4,000. That means the remaining amount I have is of 36,000. Out of those 36,000, 25% is being consumed for the salary. That means you need to imagine 36,000, 25%. Don't start calculating. 36,000, 25% would be, just take the 10%. 36,000, 10% would be 3,600. 20%, double that, 7,200. If 10% is 3,600, then 5% is half of that, 1,800. So for 25%, you need to add 20% plus 5%. That is 7,200 plus 1,800, that is 9,000. Now in this 9,000, 36,000 minus 9,000 deducted for taxes, that would be 27,000. Now 27,000 minus, you need to subtract 360. Once you get, answer would be C. Moving on to the next question. Question number 10. Express 1400 as a percent. So the answer would be very simple. It is 14 by 100 as a percent. So what you will do into 100? The option is very clear. Answer is B. So these are the questions that takes less than even 10 seconds to solve. So moving on to the next question. Maria made a deposit in her saving account which raised its balance from $80 to $120. As you can see, initial the amount is 80 and the final has been raised to 120, that is $40 increment. By what percent is the total amount in our account increase after the deposit was made? So directly you can say the answer is 50%, because $80, if you see $80 half is 40 and the increase is 40, so the answer would be A. Moving on to the next question. In a park, the lawn grass is 3 inches high. If the lawn is mowed and the grass is cut off by 30% of the height, what is the new height? So what you will do is you will write 100 minus 30%, that is 70% of 3. 7 3 is 21, so we will be left with only option B. So the answer for this 16th is D. Without even solving, you can just read the question and you can mark the options. In the next question, the concept is very easy. If you see the question is 20% of A is B, then B percent of 20 is what? So what you can do is, you need to now analyze or answer B percent of 20 in terms of A. So what you can do is, just you can make B as 20. In order to make B percent, so first you need to divide it by 100 and then multiply by 20. That would be B percent of 20. If I am doing that, so just imagine the same concept I am applying over here, 20 by 100. That is 4%. So answer would be A. Hope this is clear. Or you can even analyze 20% of A equals to B. You just need to see what you want. You want B percent of 20. So in order to make B percent, what I need to think is, I need to make the right hand side B by 100 will give me B percent of 20. That is into 20 is 20% of A. So 20% of A. In order to make it as B, so what I need to do, I need to again multiply by 20 by 100. So the answer would be 4. What is this is in percent? So answer would be 4% of A equals to B percent of 20. So the option would is A. These are the very easy problem that you can get in aptitude examination. Moving on to the next question. Next topic would be the ratio and proportion. We will be trying to solve as far as possible using shortcut approaches. So let us start with question number 1. A sum of 120 is divided in the ratio 3:4:5. What is the largest share? As you can see directly over here, the largest share is 5. So if you add this 3, you will directly say it is 12. So 12 by 120 is 10. 10 into 5, 50. So answer would be 50. This is very easy and a normal method will be helpful to you. Moving on to the next question. Find the largest share when 192.50 is divided at the ratio of 2:5. Largest share, it should be the multiple of 5, as all the options are multiple of 5. That is a weak point. That means you need to solve throughout. So how we will solve is 192.50 divided by total is 7 into 5. Now, can this number be divided by 7? Just check. 7 to the 14. 14 means you will be left with 52. So 7 is a 49. You will be left with 3.5. So it will give you the value in decimal. Decimal means either the option would be B or the option would be C. As this is the largest share, so answer would be 137.5. Moving on to the next question. Find the smallest share where 260 gram is divided into. So as you can see over here, the smallest share should be a multiple of 2. As in the option, all are multiple of 2. Now we need to solve that. Means 6 plus 7, 13. 13, that is, it is divisible of 260. So 260 by 13 is nothing but 20. 22 is a 40. So answer would be C. Moving on to the next problem. Reduce the following fraction to the smallest possible ratio. As you can see, both are the multiple of 2. So the answer would be 4:7. So answer is C. Next question. If 5 people buy 3 cupcakes each and 3 people buy 7 cookies each, what is the ratio of the total number of cupcakes? The cupcake would be 5 into 3, 15, and the cookies would be 3 into 7, 21. That is 15:21. Let us see if the option is there. Yeah, the option is A. Moving on to the next question. Two numbers are in the ratio 3:5. If 9 be subtracted from each, they are in the ratio 12:23. The first number. Now, again the weak point is the number should be the multiple of 3. Why? Because as we can see, the number over here is in the ratio 3:5. That means it is a multiple of 3, first number. So as you see in the options C and D, we can eliminate it very easily. Now what is said, if 9 is subtracted from each, that means imagine the number should be 3x and 5x. If you subtract 3x, that means the concept would be 3x minus 9 divided by 5x minus 9. The ratio would be 12:23. Now In this kind of problem, you need to solve this type of problem, because only the option over here you can eliminate is C and D, but it 23 3 is 69x minus 23 into 9 is 12 5 is 60x minus 108. So the option would be 23 into 9, and this is 12 into 9, 9 cancel, so my x would be 11. So if x is 11, the smallest number would be 33. So this is the approach that you need to solve it over in this problem. There is no any, just option can be eliminated, but in order to get the exact result, you need to solve through it. Question number 8.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining today's session. We are just about to end. It is already 12:21, and we're supposed to end at 12:20. Most welcome you guys for this session, and we have next class on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Please be on time. Take these classes serious. Take more practice. We will be sending the recordings via YouTube. We will share in the WhatsApp group. Even I will share again the link where you can download the PDFs for each and everything. Hope you guys you are doing well. See you in next class. I mean in Wednesday and Thursday. It is our next class. Then we will see whether we can even include another class in one weekend, like Sunday or Saturday evening. We will check. I will tell you whether it can be or not. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here for us. I can see we were about 50. Now we are about 40. It's okay. Doesn't matter. So guys, have a good night. God bless you. See you next time.